and to be reunited with Sergeant Scott Watson. Sergeant, are you here? Sergeant Scott Watson. And Lieutenant Kim Williams of New Orleans Police Department. She couldn't make it, okay. And Kelli Arnold, registered nurse from West Jefferson Hospital. Are you here?
Hey, all right, Kelli.
And this is James. So I take it he's almost full, right? Remember this guy?
He was a lot smaller.
He was a lot smaller, huh? He was a lot smaller. If you delivered, you didn't deliver, but you took the child, right?
Yes, sir.
And you gave it to the nurse?
I took the child and then several family members to the interstate from their house.
Okay.
Back to uninsured.
And you received the child at West Jeff?
At West Jefferson, the emergency room called and told us we were getting a baby that was coming in the attic. It was a miracle.
Is this your first time seeing? Your first time? Wow. Wow. And what do you have to say? Can you just share with us what it must have been like? Because none of us can imagine what you were going through that night. It had to be hot. Can you just give us a synopsis of just what happened and take us through what you were going through?
Well, it was around like 4 a.m. in the morning, and it was like raining outside, but it was only like an inch in the street. So we were like, well, it was raining, and I was pregnant with my son James, and I woke up and I looked outside and it was just an inch of water in the street. So I was thinking, well, maybe it's not going to be too bad. It's just a little water. So I went back to sleep and I woke up around 6 a.m. and my mother-in-law told me to look outside. And the water outside was like almost over the shed, but it never had came inside the house. So we got up and gathered some things that we could bring into the attic because we knew the water was eventually going to come into the house. So once we got in the attic, we waited. The water rose like within minutes and seconds. And it rose to the ceiling of the house, but we were in the attic, so it never had reached the attic. So we waited and waited. The wind, the house rocked, and we were scared, so we were praying and I was like, oh my God, are we gonna die? The water is getting higher, I can't swim. So it was all of us in the attic and only one of my family members could swim. So the whole time I was thinking, I'm gonna die. That's the main thing that I was thinking about, and I was thinking about my family that wasn't there. And I can say I used the bath, well, it was a bucket because we didn't have a toilet to use. And I used the bathroom, and it was like almost 5 minutes that I was still using the bathroom. So I didn't know my water bag had bust, but because I was so scared, I didn't know. So the whole time it was like I went to getting contractions like around 3 p.m. The storm was over, but the water still was rising. So I was like, this can't be happening. So I dialed 911 on my cell phone, so the phone went dead. And could you believe the phone went dead? 12:22 midnight when I was having him. And after that, all I was thinking, like, this can't be happening. And his father went to panicking. And his father and mother said, the baby's going to come regardless, so we have to do what we have to do. And I was on a wooden board. So I laid across the board on top of clothes. I laid on top of clothes on a board. And my James' father, he sterilized the box cutter. And he cut the umbilical cord with a box cutter. He cut his shoestring and tied the shoestring around the umbilical cord. And we had alcohol pads because his uncle was also in the attic, James' uncle, and he was on dialysis. So he had alcohol pads, and we wiped James off with alcohol pads. And after that, I had to breastfeed him. But at the same time, I was still thinking, like, are we going to make it? I don't know if my condition was worse, was bad, or was his condition bad. So all I could do is pray. So I breastfed him, and it was dark. So we could barely see each other's hands or anything. But I did see his eyes. That's the first thing we noticed was his eyes. And the next morning, it was so hot up in the attic. It was so hot. He went to crying. He didn't want to take the breast milk or anything. And his skin, he was turning red. So the water in the house, I don't know, God must have answered our prayers because the water in the house actually got waist length to his father. And he was able to go down into the house. And he found a container. And he got me and my son down out of the attic. He put James into a container, a clothing container, and had him floating on top of the water, which cooled his body. And he went to sleep after that, once we got out of the attic. But I sat on top of a speaker that was in the house so I wouldn't touch the water. And I waited, and the wildlife and fisherman was passing, and his father jumped across the water to stop him and tell him that I had my baby in the attic. And I don't think they believed that, but it was true. And I know one of the guys told me, "You don't look like you just had a baby," but they knew they seen how he was wrapped in a shirt. He had a shoestring around his umbilical cord, and he had a diaper that actually touched his chest. So it was really true. And they were rescuing someone else, but they said they were coming back, and they came back. And thank you also for being there at the hospital. And they called him King James at the hospital.
Thank you. Thank you.